Catherine, your voice critical and essential as we are on the eve of this historic trial. That was your background, I mean, your backyard, excuse me, the Manhattan DA's office. I wanted to start with a last-minute move that happened yesterday, a pre-motion letter sent by Trump's lawyers taking issue with some of Judge Merchan's jury selection process, specifically focusing on excusing self-identifying jurors who say that they can't be fair and impartial or they cannot serve, and how currently the jury questionnaire benefits, according to Trump, the district attorney's office by identifying people who affiliate with Trump's political party. How quickly can we expect a ruling from Judge Merchan, seeing how we've got prospective jurors showing up first thing Monday morning?
It will be a very quick ruling, and he's already visited this issue with the defense about excusing people who said, look, I can't be fair and impartial. What normally happens in other trials, judges keep those people because often it's a way of someone saying, I don't want to be here. I'll say those magic words, I can't be fair and impartial. But the judge said, we're not going to waste time. People who self-identify that they can't be, why are we going to spend time basically also having them poison the other prospective jurors going on about their biases? So I predict that the judge will take care of this immediately on Monday, and then jury selection will begin. But, and I have to point this out, as Donald Trump is saying he's going to testify, and I don't believe he would. In New York, before jury selection, before every criminal trial, I'm talking state, there's something called a Sandoval hearing, which is very specific to New York. So the prosecutors have to tell the court, tell the judge, all of the prior bad acts they intend to cross-examine a defendant about, vicious, immoral, criminal acts that they intend to cross-examine. So that probably will happen on Monday morning, too. And then the judge will decide, yes, you can cross-examine the defendant if he testifies about that. No, you can't. For instance, he can't. They will not be allowed to cross-examine about an open indictment because that's too prejudicial. But I predict, because knowing Judge Merchan and his reputation, he's going to get this trial started on Monday. Not with witnesses, obviously, but probably with that Sandoval hearing, with the jury selection, and then tying up all of these loose ends with this last-minute letter by the defense.
There's also one open-ended issue, which is Judge Merchan has yet to rule on Trump's latest motion to recuse him. Does that impact the trial at all if, Catherine, for example, it's later determined by an appellate court that Merchan should have recused himself, but the kind of jury selection has now been completed and the case has moved forward?
Well, that would be a mistrial, but it's not going to happen. But obviously, if it did happen, boom, it would be a mistrial. But it's not going to happen. The judge's daughter is an adult. She does not live with him. There's already been a ruling, so to speak, by an advisory committee of the New York court system on judicial ethics, who said this is not a basis for recusal. So the judge is not going to recuse himself, and appellate court is not going to stay the trial and say that he has to be recused.
Catherine, you worked in the Manhattan DA's office. Alvin Bragg, someone you know well. Will we see Alvin Bragg actually taking any part in this trial? Will he be cross-examining witnesses or putting on witnesses for direct examination, you think?
No, but he will be in the courtroom. Typically, most DAs, particularly in a large office, this is a very large office, are not the ones actually trying the case. That's what he has about 500 assistant district attorneys to do. And this is, I think, a 6-member trial team. 3 of the members of the trial team I know very well. They're excellent direct exam and cross-examiners. They have extensive trial experience. So he will make appearances in the courtroom to show how important this case is to the office. But he will not be doing any direct or cross or any opening or summations.
Catherine, Donald Trump is looking at 34 felonies for falsification of business records. That's a Class E felony in the state of New York, punishable by up to 4 years in prison. Not a guarantee that he necessarily would get that. But is it possible, Catherine, for the jury in this case to actually find that Donald Trump is guilty of maybe 1 or 2 of the 34? Or is this an all or nothing proposition, in your opinion?
No, that happens often. You have a multiple count indictment and the jury picks and chooses. And I've always said that means the jury was doing their job. They weren't just saying, guilty to everything. They take their time and count, because you have to look at each count individually. The jurist is supposed to do that, and then find proof beyond a reasonable doubt. No proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So you could see that happen. And it will. When the verdict does happen, if there's a verdict and not a hung jury, it will take a while, because if they're doing their job, they're going to go through each count individually and discuss it, and whether or not in New York, prosecutors, the state prosecutors are not called the government, they're called the people. So whether the people have proven the case beyond a reasonable doubt.
Hey everyone, MSNBC has a new and improved app. You'll get real-time alerts and analysis, live blogs, in-depth essays, video highlights, and the best 2024 election coverage. Download the new MSNBC app. Here's how to do it. You tap on the App Store on your phone. You hit search on the bottom right corner. You type in MSNBC. You click on the MSNBC app. You click on Get or the cloud icon and enjoy it.